Hi guys, my name is Christine and I'm a dating, relationship and personal development coach, and today I'm talking about why it's important that you keep persisting with dating. So if you're someone that's never had a boyfriend, never had a girlfriend, never had a serious relationship before, or maybe you've never been with anyone before and you've never had any kind of like romantic connection with someone who reciprocates, right? And I feel like we've all sort of been there, especially when we were teenagers. And you may be a teenager watching this now, but I certainly remember being a teenager, and it always seemed the ones that I liked never liked me, and it was really tough. It was really tough going through those teenage years, not finding someone who reciprocates in the same way. And I didn't actually find anyone who reciprocated the same way that I truly felt about them until I was about 21, right? It took some time for me. I was a late bloomer, maybe you could say, right? And there may be people who are watching this who are younger than that, who are struggling with the fact that they've never had a partner. Or it could be the fact that you're older and you've never had a partner either, and that's really bringing you down. But what you got to remember is that we all have our own sort of like timeline, right? Things happen to people at different rates. You see like people who got really rich later on in life, right? And they were struggling, all the way up until maybe like their 60s and stuff. And then they became like wealthy and successful. And you get some people who get famous and wealthy or whatever it may be, really, really young, and they get all that success really young, and then they lose it all. Right, so we'll have, every life is individual. We're all very unique creatures, right? And we all have lots of different factors as well that contribute to those. It could be the way that you're brought up. It could have been the neighborhood that you lived in. It could have been the fact, your parents taught you certain things and it was a wrong idea, or it may have been the right idea, but it was the wrong place, or it could have been the wrong time. So we all have very unique experiences as human beings, and nothing is black and white. There's so many factors that go into a human being's life that can change and mess up certain things. Like maybe if you had been born into a different family, maybe if you'd been born into a different neighborhood, maybe if you'd gone to a different school, maybe things would have been totally different for you. Okay, maybe it would have been totally different, and maybe you would have enjoyed it more, or maybe it would have been a lot worse. So you can't don't think in black and white, basically, and compare yourself to others, because everyone's life is totally different. And even people that are brought up in the same household, that go to the same schools, can react to things differently, right? It reminds me of two sisters that I once knew very, very well, and they grew up with an alcoholic father, right? And one of them chose in their later life that they would never allow themselves to be an alcoholic. They would never allow their children to be around an alcoholic. They would protect their children from those kinds of things and seeing those kinds of things, and they did so successfully. But the other sister, she became an alcoholic. She became an addict to those kind of substances. Same household, they went to the same schools, same experiences, just a different person. Okay, so don't compare yourself, okay? So the reason why it's important that you keep persisting with dating is because I believe that dating is a game of numbers, right? So the more people you meet out and go out on a date with, the more likely you are to find someone who you feel really great about and they feel really great about you. It's all about the numbers. How many people can you meet? Now, you don't have to spend loads of money. You don't have to sleep with every single person you go out on a date with or anything like that, right? The important thing is that when it comes to like a first date, like when you're first meeting out with someone, right, the best thing to do is just to meet out for a drink, and that could be a coffee, right? If you're not into alcohol, maybe you're too young, or it could be for an actual alcoholic drink, or it could be somewhere for like tea, or it could be just having like a milkshake or something, right? But the idea is that you meet somewhere that's inexpensive, right, to begin with. Because first of all, if you meet someone online, then you probably don't really know them all that well, right? So it might be the case that you meet up with someone on a date and you don't actually really like hanging out with them, and you don't like meeting up with them, and if you've already committed to a sit-down meal with them, then you've got to spend like an hour and a half, maybe even 2 hours with them, and you realise that, oh no, I'm going to have to pay for all this, or I'm going to have to pay a lot of money for my share, or whatever it may have been, and I don't even like the person that I'm on a date with in that way. Maybe they're a good friend, but they're not someone who I see myself being with, and I don't have that. There's no spark there, basically. Right, so it's always better to meet up for a drink, because you could have that drink for half an hour or 45 minutes, and then you could just go, and you've only spent you haven't spent much, right? You haven't broke the bank, basically, meeting this person. So yeah, if you don't like them, you could easily just leave and just say, hey, you know what, it's been great talking to you. I've got to go now, but it was nice chatting to you, and I'll be in touch. And then you just leave, and then maybe later on, when you've given yourself a bit of time, you can then let them down gently, especially if they like you. But the cool thing is as well is that if you go out on a date with someone and they, and you really like them, and it seems that they really like you, and you're really getting on really well, or you need a bit more time with them, then you can go and do something else. You can stay for appetizers or a meal at that place, or you can extend the date by going out for a walk. Perhaps as you live in a city and you can go do a bit of sightseeing together. You can just walk around a local park or something. You can do lots of different things, right, afterwards, if you feel like you need some more time with this person, or if you really like them, right? And then you can extend it and make it more, again, you still don't have to break the bank. You don't have to break the bank by going out for a meal or anything. You could just, like what I said, go sightseeing or go for a walk somewhere and just spend more time talking and discussing. Or maybe you just stay there and order another drink and you just continue to have the date there, right? But you can extend the date, essentially, right? So you don't have to, just because you're meeting a lot of people doesn't mean you have to be breaking the bank, okay? So so the reason why that's important, the reason why it's important to meet lots of different people and to keep on dating, try and persist. Like, ideally, it would be great if you could go out on a date once a week. That would be really good. But obviously, it's not always like that. From what I've experienced with dating, sometimes you can have a dry spell for months and not meet anyone, right? And not, meet anyone online or meet anyone new in person. And then also, all of a sudden, you get 5 or 6 different people that are in your DMs that you're trying to arrange dates with. So it doesn't always work out that way. But ideally, if you could try to aim to have 1 date a week, that would be great. Because what this goes into, basically, is the law of probability. The more people you meet, the more likely it is you're going to meet someone who you really like and they really like you. So you want to use the law of probability to your advantage. And you can use the law of probability to your advantage in all sorts of different areas. So let's say, for example, that you have like an online business or something, and you can put out loads of different marketing sort of like ways to try and get a good hit, right? It could be something like that, or it could be that you've got a content like on a blog or on YouTube or on TikTok or something like that, and you keep on sharing your content. Eventually, if you just keep on doing that over time, all those different things that I've mentioned, if you just keep on doing it over time, eventually you're going to get a viral hit and you're going to get more attraction to your website, to your business, and things like that, right? It's using the law of probability to your advantage, right? And that's the same with dating. You have to use the law of probability to your advantage. The more people you meet, the more likely it is that you're going to meet someone who thinks that you're the bee's knees. Okay, and it doesn't matter if you feel like you are too ugly. It doesn't matter if you feel like you are too short or too tall, or whatever it may be that you're struggling with that makes you feel like you're not going to find someone. Someone out there will think you're the best. They just will. Someone who will meet you and they'll just think you're the best thing since sliced bread, and you will feel the same way about them too. Now, it may be the case that you've already met a few people, right? Maybe people you went to school with or you work with, and they really like you, but you don't really like them. And that is a scenario that actually happens quite often, actually. But, what you've got to realize is that if you just keep on dating, if you just keep on going, you will find that mutual attraction, right? But a lot of people give up. This is the problem. A lot of people give up after like the first few dates, and they're like, oh yeah, I'm just never going to find anyone. Or basically they fall in love really hard with someone, and that person doesn't reciprocate, and maybe they're pining over that person for years and years and years, and then they finally pluck up the courage to say something, and that person is just not interested, and that can totally flatten that person out and be like, oh my god, I just don't want to find anyone else, that was so heart-wrenching. But the idea with that is that you don't really want to make anything persist too long. If you start getting romantic feelings for someone, it's not a good idea to let it drag on for years and years and years, or even months, right? Don't waste your time. If you like someone, if you're attracted to someone, just ask them out. Just say, hey, look, I think you're really cute. We should go out sometime. When are you available? Right? That's all you need to say. Okay, that's all you ever need to say. And they'll either tell you when they're available, or they'll say to you that they're not interested, or maybe they'll come up with some kind of like confusing thing like, oh yeah, I'm not really sure where I am in my life right now, or something like that. They'll come up with an excuse. And if they come up with an excuse, that means that, they're trying to say no, but a lot more nicely, right, without hurting your feelings. But what you always want to aim for is finding those people that say yes. that say when they're available to meet up with you. Those are the people that you need to focus on entirely, okay? But dating is a game of numbers. You can find a boyfriend, you can find a girlfriend. I don't care how hideous you feel like you are, you totally can. You've just got to keep on meeting people, right? Meeting people over and over and over again until you find that. And it may be the case that you can find someone within a few dates, maybe like 2 or 3, right? Or it may take 5, maybe it'll take 10, maybe it'll take 20, maybe it'll take 200, right? But if you keep on dating, if you keep on meeting people, you will eventually find someone, okay? You will. And it's guaranteed. It's just the law of probability, right? It's guaranteed. If you keep on meeting people, you will find someone who thinks you're the best and you think they're the best, and you ride off into the sunset and you have lots and lots of babies, okay? So thank you so much for watching. If you'd like to get in touch with me personally and you'd like coaching with me, then please go to www.ChristineLoveridge.com, and I shall talk to you again very soon. Goodbye.